Hey, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Learn Your Meta for Overwatch Season 10. We'll be going through every hero and just giving a brief description of where they are in the meta. From 1 to 5, 1 being incredibly niche and could probably be swapped for a better hero, and 5 being a basic must pick. Let's begin. Doomfist is pretty interesting right now, since he's actually been doing better in the past few seasons, especially since Brigitte is making her first competitive appearance. Doomfist can use her shielding as a buffer when he dives. Imagine a Zarya bubble, Doom shielding, and Brigitte armor, and that's a pretty scary combo to deal with. I'd rate Doomfist out of 2 though, since there are many things that he can do, but other offense heroes can do it more reliably and take less practice to get good at. Genji's always been a good hero in the meta, and not much has really changed, so I'd still give him a 4, although it might change the upcoming Symmetra rework, we'll see. McCree has been a bit more niche on the ladder, as his DPS is less reliable as, say, Soldier, and seeing the rise of more tank-heavy comps leaves Deadeye more in the dust. However, Tracer is on the decline for her upcoming nerf, and players are looking at McCree to fill that void. He sits in at a 4. Pharah has been proven really effective against barrier and tank-heavy comps, and she doesn't require tons of skill to be effective on. But there are many ways to counter her easily, and she doesn't see too much high-level play, so she sits at a 3. Reaper has been seeing about as much play as Pharah, which makes sense. The more Reaper, the more Pharah to counter him. I still think he'll be extremely effective in Season 10 if we continue along, especially with Quad Tank or Dive. Reaper is rated at a 4.5. Soldier 76 is still really effective, and in most situations, he's a hero that you want to have on. He has reliable DPS and isn't the hardest to play, but still sees a lot of play in high tiers because of his tall skill cap. Again, he's rated at 4.5. Sombra is definitely becoming a bit of a menace since her buff, which has been quite the improvement to her pick rate. Her EMP is still a really hard to counter ultimate and combos well with many others, meaning her effectiveness is high. The only problem is that she takes roles that heroes with more healing and more damage could be filling out, and it's almost impossible to coordinate with her well in solo queue. Because of this, she rates at 2.5. So Tracer has been the queen of offense heroes since Season 1, basically just because of her infinite skill cap. Her ultimate change though makes her ulti a little bit more useless against anyone other than a squishy. I still really believe that she can be effective though, and so she stands currently at a 5, but we'll see how it goes after the change. Bastion is, well, niche to say the least. On Junkertown he's really effective as well as other payload maps, but I think that makes him a little bit too situational. Considering Pulse Bomb can literally no longer kill you due to armor even in recon mode, I'd say that there's a bit in his favor. He places at 1.5. Well, this is interesting. Pre-rework Hanzo would be at around 1.5 or 2. We'll have to see how effective his rework is, but for now he rates at around a 2.5 or 3 just by my estimates. Junkrat, even though we're seeing mild changes to his projectile size, is staying right where he is at 3.5, since his low skill floor and reliable DPS make him effective on every part of the ladder. Mei is still really one of those most unplayed heroes, but her piercing freeze makes her more viable in the last season. I'd say that she stands at around 1.5 since she's still really situational, and surprisingly her skill cap is very high, but few players have the patience for the amount of time that you have to put into her. Torbjorn is certainly popular on cheese strategies and defense, but his attack capabilities are next to none, making him so situational that it's tilting. In the future, Blizzard plans on giving him a fancy new set of abilities, much like Symmetra, but for now I have to give him a 1.5. Widowmaker is good if you can land those shots, obviously, the principles of snipers, but she doesn't stand too high in the meta. I'd say she's around a 2.5 for relevance, but she can do a lot of work if played effectively. Diva I wouldn't say is broken, but that she's really good in most situations. Her burst potential was nerfed around the middle of last season, but it definitely wasn't enough to stop her from bursting down healers and most squishies. Her ultimate is an effective tool for creating space and clearing objectives, so she rates at a 5. Orisa is always a great option on defense, and I think is a little bit underrated as a shield tank. I'm also not sure if anyone noticed that they did give her a little bit of a ghost buff to her shield. It is a bit more rounded at the top now. They did that in the middle of last season. In higher tiers of play, she tends to be tossed out in favor of Reinhardt, but she also counters Tracer even more than before, so she sits at around a 3. Reinhardt is the base tank that every non-dive team almost 100% of the time has to have. I think it's safe to say that he sits at around a 4.5 since his skill cap is rather high and requires a heavy amount of situational awareness to be effective at. Not to mention the Rind games that often end up happening require a heavy prediction, and he's effective throughout the ladder. Roadhog has been really good at two things consistently: destroying barriers and one-shotting squishies. Obviously, he's still really strong in the meta and counts as a tank buster in a quad tank setup, so Roadhog as a powerful tank sits in at around a 3.5. Winston's one of those heroes that's really not great on defense, considering his abilities focus on engagement rather than counter-engagement, although there is something to be said for Winston on quad tank, as he can put pressure on the backline during the dive. He rates out of 3. Zarya doesn't really see much play in comparison to other tanks like Reinhardt or D.Va, but her abilities and ultimate give her a lot of value not only for saving teammates, but for a high damage profile and team wipes she carries a lot of value. She rates out of 4 and is completely undervalued in my opinion. Ana is a strong healer that requires a lot of skill and time to be put into her. Recently though, she's been overshadowed by the other supports and isn't generally compatible with most of the popular team comps in Season 9 and 10. She rates out of 2. Brigitte is the newcomer onto the competitive scene, and there's a lot I could say about her, but we'll have to see how she does first. I can say that her healing feels a little bit useless as she can't actively heal much at all. For now, she sits at that 3 average, maybe a little bit higher, since she can deathball extremely hard using her ultimate as a precursor towards the engagement, giving her team essentially 1,200 extra hit points and even more if she uses it during the fight. Her health pack is also good to use on her flankers or to peel for her other supports. Lucio is in a really great spot in the meta right now. His speed boost is still invaluable to other abilities since there's no counter to it, and it allows the team to quickly get into an engagement. He's essentially a must pick for the upcoming season, but not as much as D.Va and Tracer, so Lucio rates out of 4. Mercy's an interesting one. Despite her nerf and her inability to defend herself or deal DPS, a lot of players flock to her more simplistic playstyle. In terms of usefulness as a support though, she's closer to Ana, except Rez gives that little boost at 2.5. Moira is extremely powerful in the meta right now, similar to Mercy, but I think she's more useful in most scenarios as she has a high DPS and more escape capabilities than Mercy. Her healing is enough to sustain most teams with a Lucio, making them one of the best combo supports a team can get. She rates really high out of 4 for Season 10. Symmetra's in the midst of a rework right as I speak, so I mean it's hard to judge where she's going. As for Season 10 though, she just doesn't quite stand up to the other supports or defense heroes, so unfortunately we have to rate her out of 1. Zenyatta, like Lucio, is actually doing extremely well, and I don't expect this to change very much. It's possible though that he could be replaced a little bit with Brigitte, since her repair pack does roughly the same range as Harmony Orb, and flankers get that little extra boost of armor from it. I think his DPS and burst potential are great, but he's easily suppressed by Tracer, who's kind of popular in the meta as of now. So that's the hero meta for Season 10 competitive. Some of these are predictions based on upcoming reworks and changes, but most of these are really solid to keep in mind. Don't forget to drop a comment if you have any ideas about the next season's meta, since it could change and not all predictions or analysis are set in stone. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to leave a like, as it's really appreciated and helps spread the video. Of course, to see more Overwatch videos, hit the subscribe button and click the notification button to get instant notifications when the next video goes live to see it before anyone else. This is Car signing off, and as always, have a fantastic day.
Oh, Jesus.
Here it is. Alright, I'm doing it.
Oh no.
Alright, here's the golden Reinhardt hammer. Here's the unlock button.
When the meme was taken way too far.
Just golden using 3,000 competitive points.
Bushido!
Canceler,
yeah, go
yes.
kill yourself.
Oh man, I hate my life. I hate my life. There it is.